Imagine someone trying to control you, but you're unmoved. They twist words, they play mind games, they provoke reactions, push your buttons, gaslight your reality. They use every psychological trick in the book: guilt, fear, shame, flattery, confusion. And yet you remain calm, unreadable, untouchable. Not because you don't feel, not because you're cold or disconnected, but because you've mastered something most people never discover: the ability to observe manipulation without becoming its victim. That's not arrogance, that's mastery. This is the person who can't be manipulated. And in a world where everyone is playing games, trying to control narratives, using emotional leverage to get what they want, this person is the most dangerous and the most free. They can't be bought with flattery. They can't be controlled with guilt. They can't be shaken with threats. They can't be confused with lies. Why? Because they've done the internal work. They've built mental armor so strong that manipulation slides off like water off stone. Today, I'm going to show you how to become that person, how to recognize every manipulation tactic, how to render yourself immune, how to build psychological sovereignty in a world designed to control you. This is advanced mental warfare. This is how you become unmanipulatable. First, understand this fundamental truth. Manipulation only works on people who need something: validation, attention, approval, love, power, status, security, certainty. When you desperately need any of these things, you become vulnerable. You become controllable, because the manipulator simply has to dangle that thing in front of you, threaten to take it away, or promise to provide it, and they own you. Think about it. The person who desperately needs approval can be controlled by criticism or praise. The person who craves attention can be manipulated by giving or withholding it. The person who fears rejection will compromise themselves completely to avoid it. But when you no longer crave those things, when you've cultivated internal abundance, when your peace doesn't depend on external validation, you become immune. The manipulator's power is an illusion. It's a reflection of what you lack awareness of within yourself. They're showing you your own shadow, your own needs, your own wounds, and using them against you. They feed on emotional reactivity. They thrive on your need to defend yourself, explain yourself, prove yourself. They want you reactive, emotional, desperate. Once you stop reacting, they starve. Once you become non-responsive to their tactics, their power evaporates. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus said, "No one can hurt you without your consent." He wasn't saying people won't try. He was saying they can't succeed unless you give them power over your internal state. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been." This is radical psychology. This is the foundation of being unmanipulatable. You decide what has power over you. You control the gates to your inner fortress. Nothing enters without your permission. But here's what makes this hard. Most people have never been taught how to recognize manipulation. They've been conditioned to people please, to avoid conflict, to trust authority, to accept guilt when someone projects it onto them. So manipulation works, not because it's sophisticated, but because we're psychologically unprepared for it. That changes now. Let me break down how manipulation actually works so you can see it coming from a mile away. Tactic 1. Guilt projection. This is when someone makes their problem your responsibility. They're unhappy, and somehow that's your fault. They're struggling, and you should sacrifice to fix it. They made a bad choice, but you should feel guilty for not preventing it. The manipulator says things like, "After everything I've done for you," or "If you really cared about me," or "I can't believe you do this to me." They're creating a false debt. They're making you feel responsible for their emotional state, their choices, their life. And if you accept that responsibility, you're controlled. The unmanipulatable person sees this clearly. They think, I'm not responsible for your emotions. I can care about you without owning your problems. Your guilt trip has no power here. Tactic 2. Intermittent reinforcement. This is the hot and cold game. One moment they're loving, attentive, amazing. The next they're distant, cold, disapproving. They create an emotional roller coaster where you're constantly trying to get back to the good version of them. This is how casinos work. Slot machines don't pay out every time. They're random. And that randomness is addictive because your brain is always chasing the next reward. Manipulators use the same psychology. They give you just enough good moments to keep you hooked, but never enough consistency to feel secure. You become addicted to earning their approval, their attention, their love. The unmanipulatable person sees the pattern as a red flag, not a gift. They think consistent behavior is a sign of integrity. Inconsistency is a red flag. I don't chase what refuses to be stable. Tactic 3. Gaslighting reality. This is when someone makes you question your own perception, memory, or sanity. They deny things they clearly said or did. They tell you you're being too sensitive, too emotional, too dramatic. They rewrite history to make themselves right and you wrong. Gaslighting works by eroding your trust in yourself. Once you stop trusting your own judgment, you become dependent on theirs. They become the authority on what's real, and you become the confused one who needs their interpretation. The unmanipulatable person keeps receipts, not literally, though sometimes that helps, but mentally. They trust their observations. They know what they saw, what they heard, what they felt. And when someone tries to rewrite it, they don't argue. They just note, this person denies reality. I can't trust them. Tactic 4. Triangulation. This is when someone brings third parties into the dynamic to control you. They'll say, everyone thinks you're wrong about this, or I was talking to so-and-so and they agree with me. Or they'll pit you against someone else to create competition for their attention. They're using the crowd to amplify their position. They're making you feel isolated, outnumbered, wrong. And if you care about what others think, this tactic crushes you. The unmanipulatable person knows truth isn't a popularity contest. The crowd is often wrong. I don't make decisions based on what everyone allegedly thinks. Tactic 5. Love bombing and withdrawal. This is the cycle of overwhelming affection followed by sudden coldness. They shower you with attention, gifts, promises, declarations. They make you feel special, chosen, elevated. Then they pull back, often without explanation, leaving you desperate to earn back what you had. This creates addiction. You become hooked on the high of their attention and terrified of the low of their withdrawal. You'll do anything to avoid the pain of losing them. The unmanipulatable person sees love bombing as a red flag, not a gift. They think authentic connection builds slowly. Intensity this fast is a warning sign, not romance. These are just 5 tactics. There are dozens more. But once you understand the pattern, you see them all. Manipulation is about creating dependency, confusion, or emotional debt. It's about making you feel off balance so they can control the direction you fall.
Now that you can see manipulation, let me give you the 5 strategies to render yourself immune. Strategy 1. Know your triggers. This is foundational. You cannot protect what you don't understand. If you don't know what moves you, what threatens you, what destabilizes you, someone else will find it and use it. Sit down and do this exercise. Write out your emotional triggers. What makes you defensive? What makes you feel guilty? What makes you desperate for approval? What makes you feel inadequate? These are your vulnerabilities, not because you're weak, but because you're human. We all have them. The difference is the manipulable person ignores these wounds. The unmanipulable person studies them, heals them, and guards them. When you know your triggers, you can see someone trying to activate them, and instead of reacting, you observe. They're trying to make me feel guilty. Interesting, but I don't feel guilty because I know my intentions were good. This tactic has no power. Strategy 2. Pause before you respond. The person who pauses controls the conversation. The person who reacts is being controlled. This is simple but profound. When someone says something manipulative, provocative, or guilt-trippy, your first instinct is to respond, to defend yourself, to explain, to prove them wrong. Don't. Pause. 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds if you need it. Let the statement sit in the air. Let them feel the weight of what they just said. Let your mind process instead of your emotions reacting. In that pause, you regain control. You stop being reactive and become responsive. You think instead of feel. You choose instead of being compelled. The manipulator hates the pause because in that silence, their tactic loses power. They can't control what won't react. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You always own the option of having no opinion. There is never any need to get worked up or to trouble your soul about things you can't control." The pause is you exercising that option. I don't need to have an opinion about this right now. I don't need to react. I can simply observe. Strategy 3. Detach from approval. This is the master key. If you need their approval, they control you. If you're free from needing it, they're powerless. Most manipulation is rooted in our desperate need to be liked, accepted, validated. We'll compromise our boundaries, ignore red flags, accept disrespect, all to maintain someone's approval. But here's the truth. The approval of the crowd is worthless. The crowd is loud, but often wrong. They praised Socrates' accusers and killed the philosopher. They cheered for Caesar's assassins and mourned the tyrant. Popular opinion is fickle, uninformed, and driven by emotion. Why would you base your worth on something so unstable? The unmanipulable person has done the internal work to approve of themselves, not in an arrogant way, but in a grounded way. They know their values, they know their intentions, they know their character, and they don't need external validation to feel secure in that knowing. When someone tries to manipulate you by withdrawing approval, the unmanipulable person thinks, "Your approval was never my currency. I don't trade my peace for your opinion." This is freedom. This is power. Strategy 4. Observe energy, not just words. Most manipulation hides behind smiles, compliments, and careful language. The words sound good, but the energy feels wrong. Learn to trust that feeling. Learn to read beneath the surface. Pay attention to what do they do, not just what they say. Actions reveal truth. Words conceal it. How do you feel after spending time with them? Drained? Confused? Anxious? That's your nervous system telling you something. What are their patterns? Do they create drama? Do they always have an enemy? Do they constantly need rescuing? These are signs. The manipulator relies on you ignoring your intuition and trusting their performance. The unmanipulable person does the opposite. They trust the energy more than the words. As Maya Angelou said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Strategy 5. Always return to center. No matter what chaos swirls around you, no matter what manipulation is attempted, you have one job: return to center. Your center is your peace, your values, your truth, your sovereignty. When someone tries to pull you into their drama, their guilt trip, their mind games, you don't follow them there. You return to center. You breathe, you ground, you remember who you are and what matters. This is a practice, not something you achieve once, but something you return to again and again every time someone tries to destabilize you. The Stoics called this the inner citadel, your fortress, your unshakable core. No matter what happens externally, this remains untouched. Epictetus said, "Make the best use of what's in your power and take the rest as it happens." Returning to center is using what's in your power, your response, your peace, your choice to remain sovereign. Now, let me address something important. People will misunderstand this. They'll call you cold, distant, unfeeling. They'll say you've changed, that you're not the same person, that you've become hard. Let them think that, because what they're really saying is, I can't control you anymore, and I don't like it. Becoming unmanipulable isn't about being cold, it's about being conscious. It's about seeing clearly. It's about having boundaries. It's about protecting your peace. You can still love people. You can still be kind, generous, compassionate, but you do it from a place of choice, not compulsion, from a place of abundance, not need, from a place of clarity, not confusion. People will call it distance, but in truth, it's sovereignty, it's self-respect, it's the refusal to sacrifice yourself on the altar of someone else's manipulation. The people who truly love you will respect this. They'll appreciate that you have boundaries. They'll value that you can't be controlled. They'll see your strength and admire it. The people who hate this, they're the ones who benefited from your lack of boundaries. They're the ones who were manipulating you. And now that their tactics don't work, they're upset. Let them be upset. That's not your problem. Your job is to be sovereign, to be free, to be unmanipulable. Every time you stay calm when someone tries to provoke you, you win a silent war. Nobody sees it. Nobody applauds it. There's no trophy, no recognition, no celebration. But you know. You know that in that moment, when they tried to hook you into their drama, when they tried to make you react, when they tried to guilt you or confuse you or control you, you remained still. You observed, you paused, you chose peace over proving yourself right. You chose sovereignty over the need for their approval. You chose freedom over the temporary satisfaction of being defensive. That's power. Not the loud kind, not the aggressive kind, but the contained kind, the disciplined kind, the kind that makes you unshakable. Power isn't loud, it's contained, like a still lake that's impossibly deep. On the surface, calm, beneath, immense strength. And the one who can't be controlled is the one everyone quietly respects. Not because they're intimidating, but because they're integrated. They know themselves. They've done the work. They can't be moved by tactics that move everyone else. This is the path of the warrior philosopher. Not fighting external enemies, but internal vulnerabilities. Not conquering lands, but conquering the self. If you're walking this path, if you're building this immunity, if you're becoming unmanipulable, comment below, unshakable. And subscribe to Mind Armor, because we train warriors of mind, not slaves of emotion. This is how you forge psychological sovereignty in a world designed to control you. You are not a puppet. You are not a pawn. You are sovereign. Become unmanipulable. The world needs people who can't be controlled.